Hello, brick sculptors, and welcome back to Brick Sculpt. This is Chris, and today we're going to talk about pipes. That's right, this is pipes, tips, tricks, and techniques, and I have a lot of cool stuff to show you. Now, before we get too deep into pipes, I want to talk about the pieces you'll need to do some of these techniques. And the first one I would recommend getting is bars in all sizes. So bars range from the 2 long, 3 long, 4 long, almost 5 long, 6 long, and a little bit more than 6 long. And they all have kind of their unique characteristics. The only two that are just perfectly straight and with no other features are the 3 and the 4. The 2 has a lump in the middle. The almost 5 has a lump on the end. And then these ones are, this is basically just the older version of that, but they are a little bit longer. It's got a skinnier little knob in the middle. But these will all work great for pipes. The nice things about pipes is it's greebling. Greebling is just small details you add to kind of fill space and make things look interesting. So having all these little extra features is not necessarily a bad thing because it kind of just adds detail to something that's designed to add detail. So those are the different sizes of bars. You also might find useful some of these larger bar pieces. I like working with the smaller ones, but you never know what the application is. These L-shaped ones are really handy. Newer piece, but those work really well. You also might find candlesticks or Technic pin connectors working well for larger pipes. Now, aside from just having the bars, you have to have connectors. And having a good selection of connectors makes a big difference in how much detail you can add in your pipes. Here's some I suggest. First and foremost, I think the lightsaber hilt is the best pipe connector out there. It's got a couple different ways you can connect the ends. It's hollow studs, so you can put bars right into it. You can also put studs on it. This more dumbbell type piece is a little more rare, slightly longer. I don't have any in gray, so I actually didn't use that in any of my builds I'm going to show you, but a great piece to have nonetheless. This is just like the lightsaber hilt, a little bit shorter, and it's a T-joint. So really handy if you want to make a T in your pipe work. Highly recommend that piece too. Aside from just being a bar, the 2 long bar is a great connector for certain things. So that's a good one to have in your connectors as well. And they make a T-joint, which is very similar, but has one coming off the side. Not my favorite piece. I'd actually prefer to use these, but sometimes you need that open stud connection there. So the spyglass piece can be very helpful. Also the faucet piece. Now this one's essential if you're going to do any sort of angles in pipes. I think this is the best way to go, and that would be to use the minifig posing stand. It's a perfect 45-degree angle, so 2 of them makes a 90. I'll show you some techniques with that in a little bit. The ice cream cone piece is a great way to have a bar on one side and an open stud on the other. A little bit thicker than some of the other pieces, but you can work it in the right application. It can work really well. This is the bar with a flat stud. This can be handy for mounting to walls. This here and the kind with the clip on it, the kind of the opposite of this one, are both pretty handy. You can use those for angles as well. And these clips here, we have clip on one side, bar on the other. So having a good selection of this kind of stuff is going to make this a lot easier. So I recommend bulking up on these in the kind of colors you want to use, whether it be the lighter gray, darker gray, black, whatever it may be. These pieces are all great to own and will really help in this process. Next, you need pieces to attach them into walls. The D-snot is one of the best pieces because it's only too high. It's got the ability to rotate. Lots you can do with that. The headlight brick, the standard 1x1 snot piece, the clip, and a bar piece on a 1x1. And good examples of how you could use these. You can plug a bar into this to attach pipes to a wall. You could put like a clip on the front of something like this. Also, using a D-snot on the front of a snot piece is a really nice way to make like kind of a junction box. With a clip, you can put your bar right into it. And with the bar piece, you can attach something like a lightsaber hilt very easily on there. So lots of ways to connect your pipes to the wall. A couple other very handy pieces to have for this process are going to be a 1x1 round with open stud. That open stud is very important. And the bottle topper or nipple piece. So now that we have our materials laid out, let me show you some technique. So we're going to start with just a plain wall here. I've already put some headlight bricks into the wall here so we can add some detail. And a few different ways we can attach pipe. We'll start with some of these clips here. And these look really nice because it looks like you use like a metal bracket just sticking out of the brick here to attach it. So I really like those. You can do a very similar effect with these clips and just stick them into the wall. These work really well with headlight bricks because they kind of recess in and it looks very natural. Another thing I like to do with headlight bricks is just to take D-snot pieces. This one already has a bar on it. And you can sink them right into the headlight pieces. And you can see this bar sticks very close to the wall. And it looks like two junction boxes with a piece of conduit in between it. So pretty cool. I really like that technique. So for these other ones here, we can grab some pipes. And these are just 6 long pipes with a lightsaber hilt on each one. And you can see on these clips, it'll just stick straight in like that. You can connect anywhere on here. I'm going to do the same thing on these ones. And then let's say I want to make an angled connection here. Well, we can use a 45-degree angle. The secret with angles is whatever angle you do, you need to do an equal and opposite angle to counteract it. So if I do a 45-degree in, I have to do a 45-degree out. So I'm just going to plug one of these in on each side here, and they'll face each other. If this is too high or too low, you can maneuver these differently to make them line up, but these should line up pretty good. Next, we need to find an appropriate bar piece to put in between. So here I have a 3 long, which that actually might be too close. So let's go ahead and move this one up. And I'm just going to reposition the pipe so that the first clip grabs on the lightsaber hilt, like that. And because these have a slider technique to them, you have a degree of movement. You can get them right where you want them to get the perfect angle. Now let's say they're a little far apart, like these just barely meet. Well, that's pretty easy to remedy. If you take 1x1 rounds with open or hollow studs and put them on here, this will give you the ability to do a slider method. So now you can plug this bar in on both sides, and you have a degree of sliding back and forth here where you can make it perfectly fit at that length. So you can do a really nice 45-degree bend as long as you do a second 45-degree bend to get out of it and continue going upward. I have another wall here. We're going to show you a few more techniques. So you can also do kind of a T-joint. So here I have 2 D-snot pieces, a 4 long bar, a 6 long bar, and one of these kind of lightsaber hilt T-joint pieces. And I can stick these on here. Because the D-snots have a hollow stud, you do have a slider action to it, so you can position it wherever you want it within reason. And then you have that angle. Now one cool thing, if you take 2 minifig posing stands, 45 and 45 is a perfect 90. So maybe you could curve this downward. And this is not going to line up right on a brick. So you aren't going to be able to put a stud right here. You could, if you wanted to make a slider out of this, put a 1x1 round and you could move this over. But you don't really have to. You know, I can just plug in another bar here with another D-snot. And again, this is just detail work. So this will just kind of hang out here. Nobody's going to really know it's not attached. And it'll still keep with the brick pattern. I think that looks pretty good. And a nice way to have kind of a branch off. And there's lots of different stuff you can do with that. In the middle here, I could take a couple of sections like this, some of these T-joints, lightsaber hilts, and D-snots. Let's say I put one up top and one down below. And I want to connect these. A really cool method to do is to use these. This looks just like a flex conduit, where it has that bendability to it. So you can just connect the lightsaber hilts like that, and it looks like a piece of flex conduit reaching from one to the other. Over here, I've got a few more attachment points. Let's say I want to put even more bulky details in there, like this. I can make kind of a circuit breaker, maybe something here with a fan in it with those louvers. Stick that up there. Faucet piece. Stick this one down below. So you can have kind of your circuit breaker, some conduit up to this fan here, some conduit going to the building. Lots of different stuff you can do. You really can do whatever you want, get creative, play with the shapes. As long as you have a good selection of these pieces, there's endless possibilities of the piping you can make out of this. So another pipe that I thought would be fun to make would be a downspout. So I made a little gutter here. Really like how that turned out with a little roof section. And here I have two different downspouts. These are both made out of candlesticks. I used 1x1 round on top with open stud. And you can just slot these in under these gutters. Oops. Just like that. Right here I have just a 1x1 snot brick coming out sideways, so it has that nice square opening like a downspout would have. This one's a little more industrial, like you might see on an old brick building or an old industrial building, where it might be metal. Well, they're all metal, but maybe just unpainted metal. And I did figure out how to put water coming out of that. I'm not going to tell you how, because I have a challenge for you guys. I want to see if anyone can figure out that feather piece, that trans blue feather piece, is perfectly legally attached in there. And I want to see if you guys can figure out how I did that. Let me know below in the comments if you can figure it out. I'll tell you in a few days. Maybe I'll put it on the Discord. But I think these turned out pretty good. Those look really nice, and I'm definitely going to incorporate those in my new city. So in doing this, I really was having a lot of fun building these. I played with this for hours, and I couldn't get enough of it. And all I could think was, I've got to put some stuff in a stud wall. And so I did. First one here, plumbing. So I just made some vertical studs and put a whole bunch of different pipe work in there. This first one's kind of like a stack, a big tube, big pipe, probably metal, maybe a toilet up above this that would flush down to a basement. Here I've got kind of a water pipe or maybe a drain for a sink that would eventually lead into the stack. This was pretty cool. I got this hose going through the stud. I used a Technic brick here. I don't know what the deal is here. So these hoses have kind of little flutes on them, and they do not separate. But I had a few of them in my bin of hoses that did not have flutes. I hope they're not off-brand. Maybe they are. I've got a bunch of old stuff in there. And they do separate, which allowed me to put a Technic brick on it, Technic 1x1, and that way I could make it look like a drain hose or, I don't know, whatever kind of hose you could imagine that being, go right through a stud. I think that turned out pretty cool. Here I've got kind of an outlet for a sink where maybe a sink would drain out. Now, unfortunately, Lego does make the color copper, but it's super rare. And I think these are the only pieces I have, and I have a few of these kind of robot mechanical arm pieces. But I don't have any copper piping. But pearl gold looks pretty good. It looks pretty similar to copper. And so I did a couple of sink fixtures. You can make them come up from below, where this would be a sink hookup, hot and cold. I really like the ones coming down from the top, where I put these clips in here to look like something that would mount that to a stud. And then I have these cross-section lightsaber hilts here coming outward. I didn't have enough of these. I'd prefer to have those over here as well, but I only had two of them. That's kind of a rare piece, at least for me. But I think these look awesome. And just like any utilities, they can come from below, they can come from above. Just depends, what story it's on, where the plumbing is located in the house or the building. But I think these look really, really good. Up here I did a few examples of how you can make a pipe going sideways. So this doesn't really tie into what I have here. Here I took a 6-long bar and just attached it on some snot pieces and used a Technic brick in the middle, so it just goes right through the middle. So you can make a plumbing pipe go all the way across, which I think looks really good. This also looks really cool if you put a brick wall behind it. I should have prepared a brick wall for that. I also did the same thing here to look like a PVC pipe, like a plumbing, a drain pipe for a sink or a shower. And that was a little trickier because those are candlesticks. I'll show you how I did it. Basically, I took a Technic 1x1. I put one of these 2 long bar pieces a candle stick on each side, and then I just connected them to 1x1 rounds into more Technic 1x1s. Here's an example too of the 6 long bar with the Technic piece in the middle. So there's my plumbing one. I figured I had to do electrical as well. So here we go. You could do a little circuit breaker here with conduit going in all different directions. Usually kind of the main power supply will go like up out of the circuit blocks, but maybe you have a few going sideways. This I thought was really cool. You can use these headlight bricks as kind of boxes, outlets. You know, like it would be under construction. They don't have any outlets in them yet. So I've got one up here. Here I did use that T-piece, and I have a Technic pin, and then I'm just running 6 long bars through Technic pieces here, and I've got headlight bricks all the way. This I thought was fun. I wanted to do kind of a Romex. You know, not all houses have conduit. A lot of them use a flexible Romex wiring, so I could just run that. This is the same piece I used in my Winter Challenge mock, the gas station. I used this for the gas hose. Kind of a unique piece, but it attaches to a nipple piece down there. It's got just like a bar end on it, and you can plug it up in there. So it just looks like Romex cabling going through a stud. Pretty cool. You can also use this as flex conduit, which I think looked pretty good as well. Those turned out so cool. I really enjoyed building these. These were a lot of fun. Now, I know there's somebody out there who is a professional electrician or plumber who's just dying that I did this all wrong. I apologize. I'm not a professional tradesman, so I just did this off the limited knowledge I have. So I'm sorry if it's not super accurate. I am a Lego builder, not a home builder. But I had a ton of fun doing this. I hope you guys were inspired by this. I hope you learned a lot of cool techniques. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'm going to do more just like this in the future. If you want to support this work I do have a Patreon page where I do sneak peeks and lots of extra bonus content. You can see that linked in the description as well as at the end. If you have any questions, please leave them below. I'll do my best to answer them. That's all I have for this time, and we will see you next time.